Bloody hell.
Someone once told me the best way to do New York City was for 10 years. Get in, master a skill, make connections, then get out before your life goes by in a flash. I was 4 years past that deadline, so when my fiancée told me she was offered a job overseas, I said, fine, let's go. In 2014, we moved to Dubai. I had absolutely no clue what life was like in the Middle East. I had to find the United Arab Emirates on a map. My wife was getting settled in her new position at a big company, and I was trying to find my way as a somewhat jaded expat freelancer in a very foreign country. I was at home staring at a Google map of Dubai one day, trying to figure the best route to a new neighborhood, often a difficult task in an ever-expanding city where the GPS has to be updated almost weekly. In the midst of the towering buildings, massive roadways, and cloverleaf interchanges, I noticed several sprawling patches of green and blue. I zoomed in and discovered a bunch of golf courses. My personal history with golf is not a pretty one. My grandfather was an excellent golfer, as was my father, and my brother showed an early knack for the game. I sucked. Even when I did manage to make contact, the best I could hope for was a line drive, careening across the fairway and out of bounds. In Dubai, however, faced with a burning desire to find clients and friends, the golf course seemed like a good place to do both. So I bought a used set of clubs and made my way to the driving range. One day, sitting at an outside table, I met Eugene. Eugene was in the same boat, having arrived in Dubai like so many other expats and families, searching for new opportunities and happiness in a frontier city.
And I was sat having my Fanta outside the clubhouse. And I'm British, so I got the sense that you were about to come over and start engaging in conversation. So in my head, I was like, oh, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. Oh, he's doing it. He's doing it. He's coming over. I'm going to have to speak to someone.
My handicap was astronomical, but Eugene was playing mostly bogey golf and optimistic about reaching a score in the 70s. In the golf world, amateurs refer to this as the often insurmountable feat
Solid.
of breaking 80.
So every time I go out, I'd like to break 80, and I could have said that for years, but it was nice that we said, let's have a concerted effort where I'm stood on the first tee, and it's an attempt. They're all attempts, but it felt like a proper attempt. Well, this is attempt number 1,213-ish. I absolutely loved that as a process because it gave me almost an excuse to take myself more seriously. And it certainly didn't happen the first time. I need a lesson. Or the next time. Sit, sit. Or the time after that. Whew.
Most golfers never break 80, and setting a goal to do so can seriously affect one's happiness.
Are we ready? Ready. Right, hit the ball, come on. Come on then, wake up. Wake up, shake up. Had you pressed record?
Most play the game simply because they enjoy it, bad shots and all.
Attempt 1,114. Oh dear. Did you get that one?
Perhaps more than any other sport, golf focuses on the individual. There's no one in your way except your own fears and self-doubt. Like much of life, if you come up short, you have only yourself to blame.
Oh my God!
As Eugene began his quest for success in golf, I stepped behind the camera to interview experts and expats about what makes living in Dubai unique, and their own thoughts on what it takes to lead a more content, positive, and satisfying everyday life.
My idea of happiness is to be loved.
Being healthy, both physically and mentally.
The number of happy moments you're experiencing compared to the number of unhappy or very unhappy moments, and it's all math.
Not finding yourself, but creating yourself.
For me, happiness is my family.
Absence of worry.
Ability to do whatever I want
whenever I want, charter my own life.
My wife and I go into old age gracefully.
Really good coffee. I haven't given up on that.
Family, health, and friends.
The happiness is a state of mind.
I don't want people to be, to have a struggle life every day. I just want people to be happy, having the life that everybody, wants to have.
To have a conception about what life is like in Dubai is to have a misconception.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions people have about Dubai is that it's dangerous because it's in the Middle East. In fact, in many respects, it's much safer than many other big places like London or New York or whatever.
My kid left the phone in the cafe, on the table. Brand new iPhone. Comes back 3 hours later and the phone is still there. I don't know where you're going to get that in the world, man.
There are so many misconceptions about Dubai. I think the first one and the biggest one is that Dubai is superficial, that it's all about money, that empty luxury lifestyle and all of that.
One person was saying, like, if you get to Dubai, you get to the airport, there will be like people with placards saying jobs here.
In Dubai, I heard everything is made of gold.
It's very difficult to stay abroad, even you are in a small position or in the higher position.
When I come home for a holiday, they always ask me why I'm not more tanned.
I think lots of people think they're going to come in and smash and grab in 2 years and get out again rolling in money, and that's absolutely not the case. Dubai needs to be seen as somewhere you can come and build a life and a career and a family.
Oh, well, it's the Middle East, so it's Islam, it's Arab. Well, that, of course, is an important foundation of this society. With an 85% expatriate population, it is thoroughly multicultural, not at all monocultural, and therefore it's also not monoethnic either. People from virtually every country in the world now live and work in Dubai and visit Dubai. So it's a real crossroads.
Because people come from so many different walks of life, they have to kind of find their niche, and every niche seems to be out there.
There's the whole spectrum of people, but the common thread between all of them, and this is something that a lot of the locals will tell you, is that you live your life, you don't bother anyone, and nobody's going to bother you.
Here you interact with different cultures every day.
I lived in London before coming to Dubai, and I thought that was one of the most multicultural cities in the world. And I thought that was going to be different. There's going to be a big change for me coming to Dubai, but actually it's, just as diverse as London.
When it comes to culture and the sheer volume of nationalities, languages, different people from different lands, this place is amazing.
My life here in Dubai is quite different from anything I've experienced. But if I look at my life back in Ukraine, whatever I remember about those days, I lived in Kiev. Even if people are successful, they are much more stressful, I would say. It is very demanding in the sense of getting there, proving yourself, getting the best for your life and for yourself. It is very happening, but it doesn't have that variety. It doesn't have that international melting pot.
Golf social. You do without doubt meet people when you play golf.
Douglas been watching a lot of YouTube videos, how to get out of bunkers.
And I suppose with anything in life, some of those people stick and you make friends.
Mate, that is better than any bunker shot you would have played. Would have been worse.
And you're an American friend, which if I was living my yokel life back home in the UK, I probably wouldn't have an American friend and I wouldn't have a Russian friend. And there's Glenn, who I've met through you, Norwegian.
How important is golf to my happiness? Let me tell you this, if it was important to my happiness, I would be probably in an asylum now. The fact is, the average golf swing takes 1.8 seconds. So if you work that out, you play actively a round of golf for 5.5 minutes. So if you're gonna go around and be miserable for 4 hours and 20 minutes, you can't let that affect your happiness. You have to just say, I'm outside, I'm doing something that I enjoy, and it challenges me, and sometimes it can be extremely frustrating. But if it wasn't extremely frustrating, if it was easy, you wouldn't come back. Plus, it's a pleasant environment to be in. So yeah, it is. And it's, for those who don't play golf, I think it's the most boring thing in the world. For those who do, I think it's the most amazing activity that they can do. So yeah, I enjoy it very much.
There's a lot of misapprehension about happiness, and there's a lot of ways that people are pursuing things that just lead to their frustration, lead to their unhappiness, while they're chasing happiness. And if they could come up with a clearer definition around who they want to be and pursue that, there's just a contentment that comes from feeling like you're on the right course. You're doing things that matter to you on a daily basis.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as my happiness is concerned, I would have to say 9.
I think I'll put myself on a 6.5.
9.346.
8?
Maybe I would give myself 9.
You asked me today, I'd say a 4.
I think I'm an 8. 10 would be greedy.
On a scale 1 to 10, I'm 9.
Between 2 and 7.
I think I'm probably 10 out of 10 happy.
Between 7 and 10 all the time, I think.
Oh, I'm up there. 8 or 9, man, 8 or 9.
Most of the time, I'm a 7, I think.
I'd say there's more than one scale, but I'd give myself a 10 out of 10 for the macro view, how's life?
My dad's happiness changes. So, for example, in the morning, he's about a 2. When he's in work, he's probably a 6 out of 10. And then when he puts me and my brother to bed, he's probably a 1 out of 10.
Why is he a 1 when he puts you to bed?
Because we're annoying.
Measuring happiness, you hear a lot of controversy about that. People say it's a very subjective concept. How can we quantify it? How can we put a number on it? And I would say, yes, that is a difficulty, but it's no different than how do we quantify depression? How do we quantify anxiety? We measure that as well. And when it comes to well-being, there's about 200 indices designed to be able to measure that. So for the individual, typically, we don't even use the word happiness in positive psychology, but generally we assess subjective well-being. So how satisfied are you with your life overall? So on any given day, how many times do you feel joyful, interested, inspired, alive, or angry, upset, insecure? Sometimes we might measure meaning. How meaningful do you find your life? Do you have a purpose in life? Is there a reason for you to get up in the morning?
I don't think 2.5 hours is enough sleep pre-golf.
Yeah, probably.
Do you want to go? Shot. Can we pretend that was my ball? We can edit that in, can't we? Based on his swing, I would put money on it that he had more than 2.5 hours sleep last night. He sounded fresh as well. He was like perky, but actually perky, not that, oh, yeah, morning, perky. That was genuine. He's doing the right thing. That's golf right there, look at that. That is, as soon as the sun hits his head, that's like golfing porn right there. Sun's not hit his head yet. Oh, there you go, dappling. And he's not walking, he's striding.
Drive.
There's so much about what he's doing right now that works for me. It's beautiful. I'm now thinking he's not taking a direct route to his ball, which is slightly irritating. Yeah. Ta.
As societal structures have changed, we're going through a period of shifting and trying to make sense of it. Have to look at the individual more and say, you know, how much can I be in the driver's seat of my own life? How responsible can I be for my own well-being and happiness? And similarly, there's a lot of people who are responding to that and saying, it's overwhelming and I'm at a crisis point and I don't want to play by these rules, or I don't feel adequate to play by these rules. And somewhere along the way, we mistook this idea of being successful and being happy for the end point. And that's the recipe for disaster, is the idea that we're gonna get somewhere and then everything's gonna be all right. The journey's gotta be all right too, or people just don't wanna play. They don't wanna be part of it.
Oh, fat. You moron. So we're talking about whether it's the journey to break 80 or whether it's the journey of life and what makes you happy, so long as you're not thinking it's a journey to somewhere. And so the journey that I want to be on is to break 80. It's part of that. How good could you be? I don't know what happens when you do. Go! whether they'll bring out some sort of bunting and parties, but I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen. And you walk off and wonder what you're going to shoot next time.
So good. Right.
I think there's this idea that happiness is, again, just a lot of smiley faces that really don't add very much to life. But it also encompasses things like meaning, purpose, relationships, engagement with life, how we interact with people, and also how can we generate a range of positive emotions.
Another important matter is to be aware that emotions are contagious. Our thoughts affect our emotions, and then our emotions affect our actions. So the way we behave reflects not only on ourselves, but also on those around us. If the mom, for example, screams at the kids, "Won't you be quiet?" but she's screaming, they will not be quiet, they will scream as well. If the parents are not interacting in a very good way, in a negative way, the kids will behave in a negative way with their peers at school. They may bully them, but also they might be bullied, because if you don't know how to deal with emotions, positive or negative, you will be susceptible to being a victim of others' reactions and others' emotions.
When people feel connected to other people and connected to a purpose, that's when they feel contented, that's when they feel happy.
Sometimes I feel quite purposeful because I'm very conscious of my happiness being related to me doing good. And that's a really easy thing to do. You can volunteer, you can give to charity, but that purposefulness makes me happy.
I think having a purpose is a grandioso sort of sentence. People don't need a purpose, because for me, when you say that, my purpose is to make the world a better place. It isn't. But I need something that's going to make me, something to measure by. So am I enjoying what I'm doing? Am I dreading? How much stress is there in my life? Do I wake up in the morning fearing the day ahead? No is the answer to that. There's been times where I have, but not anymore. I like my kids. They are a purpose. How much do they learn from me? How much are they learning at school? What sort of people are they going to be? Will they be happy? I hope so.
I do not feel there is a meaning or a purpose to my life. I've come to believe that we just are, we exist. I think we do the best we can and don't search beyond for a purpose. I think when you've got, I don't know how many billion people on the earth now and in history, it would be pretty arrogant to think there was a purpose. I think there is a purpose to your life each day. You know, accomplish a few things, get out of other people's way, don't cause trouble, and add happiness or if to people near you.
We're going to put a railing up on the... To me, being charitable, philanthropically motivated is a mark of being a truly socialized human being. I think it's very important. I think it's one way, not certainly the only way, but it's one way of demonstrating your human capacity for empathy.
To me, it's actually one of the most important things, because it's in the aftermath of what I'm doing here, I want to be a philanthropist. So if you look at where I come from, you know, things are not okay. People are suffering. There are so many people who are suffering, who are living without like basic things like water. So if I'm able to contribute positively to that, I think I would have reached my goal in life.
I think the happiest person I know is my best friend. He's always happy and very positive. He always likes cheering people up, so.
The best way to make someone feel happier is probably give someone something that they really like, or like just cheer them up by doing something to them.
And contentment, you're only gonna know that you got it in the moments before you die. And you see your whole life flash in front of you. That's the only time when you will really be objective about whether the way that you've lived your life meets the standards that your values have set. The only currency, the only wealth that you will wish that you had in those moments will be the good things that you've done for people.
I first came to Dubai in 1976, and as a young man I was working as a sales engineer for a small British company making air conditioning hardware. And I am the regional director for a Christian charity called the Mission to Seafarers. We come across cases where crews haven't been paid for more than 18 months, and in the worst case, more than 3 years. And sometimes they're left out on their ships, out in the anchorages, so it's about 10 miles offshore, right through the summer, no air conditioning, no power, sometimes no food, no water.
What about food? Yeah, I have food. Food, okay. Food, okay.
So at one level, our work is very, very obviously humanitarian and emergency relief. But most of it is to do with being detectives and chasing down and finding out the ship owner, why isn't he paying them, when can he pay them, and acting as a trusted advocate and mediator within the industry to make sure that the seafarer's lot is not forgotten, which it can often be. We've been operating in Dubai since 1962, which is a very long time indeed. We function here as a Christian charity, quite explicitly Christian charity, with the blessing of the local authorities and the local ruling family. We have very, very close ties with the Deputy Prime Minister of Dubai, who is immensely supportive, and the Al Maktoum family itself helps us financially. I'm just getting the full story from these three. Okay? Okay, I'll put it back later on. Okay, bye. Being a seafarer means usually being away from your home and your family for 9 months of the year at a stretch, and they miss their families, and their families miss them. Coming into a port anywhere in the world and knowing that there's someone like me or my colleagues makes a big difference to them. At the practical level, but also psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. For many seafarers are spiritual or spiritually minded or religious, come from countries and societies which are still very religious, like the Philippines, for example. So they appreciate the fact that I, as a Christian minister, understand that language and understand that worldview. Our operation here is an ecumenical one, so it's in partnership with the Roman Catholic Church as well. I have a Roman Catholic colleague on my team. That allows us to tap into the wider Christian presence in Dubai, which is really quite remarkable, and many people who don't live in Dubai would be surprised at this. The parish that my Catholic colleague comes from, here in Dubai, St. Mary's, has on a Friday, which is the day of worship, 30,000 communicants every Friday. And at Christmas and Easter, well over 100,000 worshippers coming to attend in a series of masses which take place from 6 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. And that's a function of, we have a large expatriate population in this part of the world. And many of them come from the Philippines, from India, and from countries where there are very, very large numbers of Catholic Christians. And so the remarkable thing about Dubai is that there are probably as many practicing Christians here as there are practicing Muslims, which is a tribute to the relatively enlightened policies of the government in this part of the world, and is much appreciated by the population. Can't go very far in London without coming across a church. It may not be a functioning parish church, it may be an architectural relic from the past. So that's a contrast worth mentioning in connection with religious differences between the two places. Whereas in Dubai, the mosques are the mosques and that's it, and people go to the mosques. You hear the call to prayer 5 times a day. Again, you can't go far without seeing a mosque, in the same way as you can't go far in London without seeing a church. So therefore, I suppose each society is being reminded all the time about its religious underpinnings. On the one hand, Islam and Dubai, whereas in London, more or less you would assume that that church isn't that well attended and it has a more ambivalent message than the message of the mosque here.
The call to prayer that you hear here is calming, it's peaceful, I don't know what they're saying, but there's a beauty to it. I mean, clearly for those that are attending mosques, there's a spiritual connection, but there is a human connection to it, I think. Lots of people need calming on a golf course. I think call to prayer every now and again can help that. I think I would miss it if and when we move on. Just kind of this beautiful connection.
I'm so happy that my daughter is growing up in this environment, and then she will be obviously much more open person than I am, obviously much more exposed to the cultures, and the world is changing, and I think this is really a good place to raise a child. Dubai is just a baby heaven, you know. It seems to be there is a non-stop baby boom around. You see either a pregnant woman and a woman with a child, or twins, or 5 or 6 of them, and in a way shapes the values and culture in Dubai.
It's very difficult to answer the question about people that you don't know as to whether they're happy, but I suppose, at least theoretically, a child that is loved and knows it's loved would almost definitely be happy.
My 7-year-old is the happiest person that I know because he is surrounded by people that love him.
I don't want to sound too cliche, but it's really hard not to. It's down to that journey and the contentedness. So you don't live through your kids, I get where that comes from, but are they happy? Am I doing the right thing for them? And that creates this sense of happiness.
So this is what I love about Dubai, that I see happiness all over this place. I don't see children working in a factory or in a shops or in a construction site. You know, I see children being happy, you know, everywhere, going to mall with their friends, having a nice time. I'm sorry, Doug.
The country you are from definitely makes a difference. When we look at the World Happiness Index, the countries at the bottom are there for a reason. So not a lot of jobs, not a lot of employment opportunities, not a lot of security. Housing's an issue, education, everything is really difficult to come by. So when you're really trying to just fend for your basic needs, happiness does become a lot harder.
I lived in a very small house with 2 rooms. So I share my bed with my brothers, so we sleep in one bed. My siblings, I'm sure they think about others, but not as much as I do. They think about daily life, you know, what, you know, are they gonna do tomorrow, you know, how they're gonna earn this, you know, how they're gonna bring food on the table. But me, I do not think about it anymore. I know I have someone who will put food on my plate, you know, when I'm hungry, and I'll have water to drink.
It's already been 4.5 years in Dubai for me. Why you are in Dubai? To make yourself away from miserable life. Because back in Nepal, you cannot get what you are getting right here, right now. So I have my own plans and goals. Even though you are far away from your family, you have to tackle it in your life, because this homesickness is just a minor thing. People are having a lot of struggle, a lot of sufferings. So this is nothing, because people all around the world, they are suffering. Some of the people, they don't have even food to eat. They don't have even clothes to wear.
The happiest people that I don't know probably are Buddhist monks. They're content with what they have. They're not like going out there and like trying to do things that they cannot do. For me, those are the guys who are happy.
What is my idea of happiness? In a way, it's quite simple, but then to answer it, you know, it's quite complicated. When I talk about happiness, I couldn't help it, but I have to really make a distinction between two different happinesses, a permanent, long-lasting happiness and a temporary kind of relative happiness.
I think in the West and increasingly in the East, there's an illusion around hedonic happiness. There's a misunderstanding, a mythical sense that happiness involves owning things or having things or buying things or being something.
Golf's a funny game. So a lot of people describe golf as elitist, and tragically, I think that's true. That aside, though, it's also bizarre-looking sport to other people, and golf wear. I'm guilty, and I don't get it, but why, to play this sport, do you need to dress like an idiot? It's strange. You put golf trousers, and there's a tendency to wear silly colours and spend too much money on a polo shirt in bright pink and fuchsia and lime green. I don't ever wear that, but I'm all in on the ridiculousness of that outfit. Now, and I'm sitting here, I'm slightly concerned that I'm sitting saying this on camera and it will be forever held because it's bloody stupid. I've got golf belts. It's a freaking belt. And I've got a selection of different coloured golf belts. I've probably got 9 or 10 different golf shoes in different colours. I've got the laser rangefinder to tell me how far I was supposed to hit it. I've got the GPS watch to tell me how far I didn't hit it. There's so much bits and so many bobs, and what golf ball are you using? I'm not good enough for the golf ball to matter. I mean, I don't do it often enough, but I've even enjoyed, okay, well, let's clear out the golf bag and organise the pockets. I mean, that makes me feel like a 5-year-old, but I enjoy that prep. I've got a cupboard full of golf stuff. I enjoy that cupboard. Companies are making a lot of money selling idiots like me golf wear.
Of course, there's no problem with having a nice iPhone or going to a party with friends. That's great. That hedonic happiness, that sense of joy and elation is a wonderful part of being human. But genuine happiness, long-term happiness, comes from a sense that we're connected with others, that our life makes sense and that our life matters.
Well, this is what I believe. The humans exist in a state of contentment or in a state of unhappiness. There are things that you can do in your life that will make you content. And to be content, you have to have a solid understanding of your insecurities, your self-worth. These are the things that can make you content when you deal with these things. If you don't, you become unhappy. Now, if you're unhappy, there are things that you can be tricked into doing by consumerism, by marketing, that will suspend your unhappiness and give you that little dopamine hit of self-worth, like buying a handbag, buying a watch, buying a car. So you have to be very wary of the difference between the suspension of unhappiness and contentment.
I just wanted to get out of my place because we do not get out of that area. You know, we do not see new things, we do not meet new people. So I was there for 10 years, living in the same place, not doing much, you know. So I just want to get out to see this another place where I will have more to do, more to experience, more to learn, more to give back, you know, more to do things in a new and cool way. I first came to Dubai when I was 12 years old on a scholarship program in a purpose of having a very good quality education and see the difference between Dhaka and Bangladesh and Dubai. You know, how we can develop ourselves, you know, see new things, new opportunities for us to see this beautiful place that we never thought, you know, we would be here one day. You know, going to a very good school, meeting all these wonderful people in my life and, you know, getting to think more and more and dream bigger and bigger. If I would have lived in Dhaka, I would not have this strongness in my heart to be independent, you know, to think that, yes, I am capable of doing anything I want. I'm capable of looking after myself. I'm capable of helping others. I'm capable of to be anything I want to be. So I want to be a prime minister of my country one day. I want my ex-students or my ex-colleagues to be my next minister, who will work with me towards a dream, sending kids to a school, having a proper house to live, proper road to drive, like UAE here. Basically transfer Bangladesh into UAE and be like Sheikh Zayed, because years ago there was nothing. In UAE, only desert. So he built this great nation. So I'm gonna do the same for my country, for my people, and this is the dream that I'm having for the last 7 years.
Arriving in Dubai, I was taken aback by the quality of life that we have here, and then to see the kind of dynamism that the government is, willing to go through, willing to introduce these new kind of initiatives. Happiness and well-being was one of them. To really say, hey, we want to become a beacon for new ways of thinking about how do we build communities? How do we make the lives of people in communities more meaningful?
When the government decided to have a program in terms of changing the way we operate, the way we work from a government entities, and also how we serve the public in different fields, being in education, being in environment, being in social services. We are the nuclear regulator. We are responsible for regulating the nuclear industry in the country. So we think how we can create happiness or create happy customers where you're supposed to regulate them and inspect them and so on. But the question is, if I provide license to a person who's using a radioactive machine such as X-ray, and if he's not getting his license on time, or he's not being provided the service the way it's supposed to be, that means that's going to impact the safety of the patients or the safety of the public. How can I make my customers happy? How can I make the employees happy? And how can I make the society happy? So everything that we decide to develop within the organization has to be thought from that perspective, and not just for the sake of making it happen.
Dubai, in its inimicable fashion, when it captures an idea, it does it well. It brings the world to Dubai to say, here's who we are, can you help us do this? And positive education was no different. I wouldn't have met people from Geelong Grammar School. I wasn't ready to kind of board a flight and fly to Australia to find out about positive education. But being an educator in Dubai gave me the unique opportunity to go see David Bott give a talk on character strengths and strengths-based research in schools.
Positive education's story really began around the year 2006 when Geelong Grammar was searching for a wellbeing framework or an approach to enable the school to really genuinely place wellbeing at the heart of education. And that's when Dr. Martin Seligman and his team from the University of Pennsylvania was invited to come to Geelong Grammar and live for 6 months and to effectively run an experiment. Was it possible to transform a school culture by leveraging the science of positive psychology?
Mr. Grimes, mathematics teacher, is displeased with the progress of his 9th grade class in mathematics.
You see what low grades you made on your weekly mathematics test? More than half of you failed. This is the poorest class I've had in a long, long time.
Educators around the world have really been asking themselves, what is the purpose of education? For 200 years, since Horace Mann really created a universal schooling system in the US, the purpose of school was to create obedient, compliant factory workers. To win at school still, you win by being compliant and obedient. And that's changing. And for the first time in a couple of 100 years, we're recognizing that that traditional industrial model of schooling isn't serving the future that we're hoping to create.
Now, the trouble's with your attitude. You don't pay enough attention in class. You don't do enough work outside of it.
I've asked thousands of parents 2 questions. The first is, in 2 words or fewer, what do you most want in life for your child? And the answer is things like happiness, health, civility, life satisfaction, contentment, and meaning. And then I ask parents, in 2 words or fewer, what do schools teach? And they say literacy, numeracy, science, discipline, conformity. Notice how little overlap there is between what schools teach and what we most want in life for our children.
I tell you right now that unless you get over your lazy habits and come up to the standards I've set for this class, many of you will have the pleasure of repeating this course next semester.
I think there's always been positive education in schools. What's been lacking has been a common language of what works in terms of helping people develop their best selves in schools. I think most teachers have always done it as a matter of intuition or as a matter of how they were taught. And there's a cost to that.
In 2006, 7, 8, with the help of Seligman and his team, Geelong Grammar created our own student curriculum, a teacher training program, and a whole philosophy, an ethos, a structure that enables wellbeing science to be weaved into the fabric of a school. So positive education has transformed Geelong Grammar from a school where wellbeing had always been prioritised to a school that is systematically doing wellbeing by leveraging the science.
And as a teacher, it is now within your power both to teach your subject matter in an excellent way, but also to increase the well-being of your students, resulting in higher traditional academic goals.
At Regent International School, positive education is at the foundation of what we do, what our staff, students and community experience through their emotions, behaviours, through their relationships. One thing that we really focus on is being mindful to themselves, but also to each other. So for example, during the year, students are writing gratitude letters to people that inspire them. And that may be in their family, that might be a teacher, that might be a friend, but ultimately the impact that that person has on them. And also for them to know the impact that they do have on other people. So they can also adapt what they do and how they behave as part of ensuring that their character strengths are continued to be developed.
Gratitude is one of the positive emotions that sometimes we don't really appreciate. For example, here in the UAE, we have the safety, we have good jobs, we have good houses, good leadership. So I am grateful, and people should be grateful for whatever they have.
Golf's a funny game. I've played with many, many people, the vast majority of them lovely people. And pretty much, I don't think I've ever met a golfer that doesn't cheat in some way, shape or form. And I've got to include myself in that. And it's a bizarre thing. I'm kind of a big fan of cheating. Bend it. Bite, 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 bite. Oh, pure strike. I mean, the classic way to cheat is you find a ball that can't be found. You walk into the trees to look for a ball that's in a lake. 2 minutes later, you suddenly find a ball. Got it. And you've got, luckily, a shot out.
She's as good as you could do.
There's something in golf called a mulligan.
Okay, no mulligans. Did you get that one? Because that, my friend, was a shank.
And that's where you hit a really bad shot. It's like, okay, that's not fair. That didn't count. Do it again.
It's gonna load up.
If I'm playing holiday golf with my mates, we could have 15 mulligans. Where I find it more amusing is when I see people that are cheating and genuinely trying to cheat themselves effectively. And I don't know what it is, because it happens all the time. Because it's purely lying to yourself. I mean, lying to your doctor has a consequence. Cheating in golf doesn't. You just go home and you say, oh, I shot an 82 today. It was the best round of the year. You probably didn't. You probably shot a 92, but no one cares. You might as well have not played and just made up the whole story in itself. You've got to ask yourself why you're doing it.
Hello, there you go. Hello, Douglas.
It makes.
Come across.
One of the reasons I'm most excited about working in Dubai is the genuine commitment that comes from a governmental level.
The government, our leaders, really care about the people who live in the UAE. So appointing the Minister of Happiness, this helped instilling the principles of happiness, not only among government employees, but across the society. We have a very nice relationship between people from all around the world here in the UAE and the nationals.
This is a new notion of happiness and well-being. I mean, in terms of changing the mindset of the individual, the employees, is the way we engage, the way we operate, the way we think when we are working and coming to work every day, and our purpose of this work. Why are we coming forward? Is it for a job? Is it a career? Or is it we have a higher purpose? Because not everybody understands what you mean by having happy organizations. So, and it's not about birthday parties and going out together, but it's beyond that. It's about trust, it's about transparency, it's about social connection, it's about changing policies that makes, that improve the well-being of employees.
In countries all around the world where we're doing work, there is this wave of interest about well-being. But the UAE was the first country in the world to appoint a federal minister of happiness and well-being. Her Excellency Ahud Al-Rumi and her team are dedicating their time to ensuring that what we're saying about well-being is being implemented directly into schools. Teachers are being trained rigorously around the country, and our team is trying to do whatever we can to support the government here to download what we've learned over the last 10 years about the practical reality of embedding wellbeing science into schools.
There's some really committed people who found their niche in doing this work, and they really have found the opportunity to do it here in Dubai.
The UAE has massive advantages over somewhere like the UK in that as a nation, leadership can make a decision of a direction of travel, and that can change everything almost overnight. If the determination is this is the direction that we are traveling, whether it's to do with progressive education or just encouraging the skill set for that local populace, which is going to have a massive effect on the expat communities. And I've now got my own business. We teach kids science. We make kids fall in love with science. Has the UAE played a part in that happening? Without a doubt. It has a daring culture, and that rubs off on you. It has an entrepreneurial feel to it. And that definitely affects my little small business. It gives us that inspiration that we're in the right environment. It's a great place to do what we're doing.
People that hear that I'm working in Dubai believe that we are not working here, we are just living here. All my life, when I was in any job, I always thought, you can do things better like this, or if it was my clinic, I would do it like that. And it became too much of a little voice in the back of my mind without doing anything about it. And then I had this big opportunity to start Vienna Veterinary Clinic, driving past this dream location of mine and seeing from my window the Burj Al Arab. And I had all these ideas in my mind, what I would do better, more client caring, that people are not left alone with decisions on their animals. It's so sad if you have a case and then the veterinarians are perfect, but they forget that there is a person who needs maybe a shoulder to cry on. And I wanted to make a bigger variety of things that we offer than in the clinics I worked before, work with internationally really well educated people. And I'm very lucky that I have now really a team of like-minded people, and just going the extra mile for animals and people is what I wanted to create with Vienna. I grew up in a flat in Vienna. It was a rented flat, so we weren't allowed to have dogs or cats, and my parents certainly couldn't afford a horse. So we came home from school with all kinds of animals, from canary birds over mice and guinea pigs and rats. And my parents were amazing. They opened my eyes for animals, and I've learned how to say I love you to an animal before I learned how to say I love you to a human, because you don't know if you get it back. You don't know if your animal says I love you. So I didn't want anything back. I wanted to just purely love them. And that showed me, hey, love is actually amazing, to just do and give and not ask anything back.
Love is always good, right? If it's real love, it cannot create unhappiness. But in the name of love, many of the times people are miserable. People get really agitated and so forth. So that's where you have to identify these factors. The secondary minds, we call it, because main mind is the driver, and that can be influenced by these mental factors. So anger, the jealousy, the resentment, all of those. So these are not always with you, but they come without invitation. So therefore, you also have to know how to get rid of them. I didn't invite you, so therefore, please leave, or sometimes forcefully you can, get rid of them.
So I got this bracelet. There's a forwards play, a rewind, and a pause. So you press the pause when you're scared, in bed normally at night, and then you press the fast forward, and you think of what would happen then, and you think of happy things that could happen, like you fall asleep or you see a shooting star. And then maybe if you press rewind, you rewind and think to yourself, what made me think of this scary thing? And then try to just put it away.
The biggest obstacles in terms of happiness, and it has to do with our cognitive behavior, our way of thinking, of perceiving ourselves, that we should focus also on developing a flexible mindset when it comes to explaining things to ourselves. And that will lead to more hope and optimism. Not that you should be happy or optimistic 24/7, but the flexible mindset that will create the balance. So in the face of hardships, you would know, okay, you will make the right decisions.
Oh, golf. Oh, I'll tell you what, I mean, that's... Golf is a massive roller coaster ride. Oh. And you're going to miss a silly putt. Literally nothing great to say about that. And you're going to want to cheat, except for I'll find it. You can't sit there dwelling on what you've just screwed up, because there's a very good chance that the next shot's going to be worse. So there's no point in letting that snowball of misery go up. Right. +5 through 2. Pretty solid. So you've got to take the moments where something goes well. Oh. And you've got to love it. And you've got to take the moments where something goes less well. And love it all the same. Oh, we'll absolutely take that. Thinking about it, it's one of the only environments where I do give myself a literal talking to. I mean, let's be honest, it didn't start well. So if something's gone wrong, I'll try and cheer myself up. But I've just hit 2 good shots. Or I'll mocking myself or mocking others often sort of adds a bit of humour to a situation which brings it down. Hi, buddy. He knows where's safe. I'm good at these shots. Run, bounce, out. Oh, that was so unlucky. Golf will guaranteed give you an opportunity to put things into some sort of perspective and move on. And if it doesn't, then I want to play with you, because anger is hilarious on a golf course. It depresses me because I've got friends that are frankly rubbish at golf, and they make that shot look so easy, and I can't do it. Ooh. I wouldn't describe it as magic.
We are social beings. We are socially constructed, and our beliefs reflect those experiences that we have with others as either being reinforced or undermined or challenged in different ways, but we are who we are because of the social world.
Evolutionarily, connection with our tribe, fitting in, was our biggest survival technique. It made sense that when we were living in tribes of 50 or 100 people that we should be self-critical. We did need to monitor our own behaviour. We did need to make sure we looked normal and sounded normal and spoke normally and behaved normally. That's a survival strategy, because if we don't, then we get kicked out of our tribe and we die. Social media has really tapped into that desire for us to feel normal and to fit in. But it also connects to our deepest anxieties, and that is, are we fitting in? Are we normal? Are we okay?
I think we have to look at the fact that there's 2 sides of relationship. One is the idea that I just don't want to be left out. I don't want to be outside the group, outside of the norm, because it's lonely and scary out there, and that's where I wouldn't be able to thrive and survive.
I work in digital marketing, which means that my job involves social media to a very large extent. And actively, I would tell you that social media is presented to you as a channel of communication, where you can use it to communicate with your friends and see what everyone's up to and everything. And really, honestly, like nothing could be further than the true aim of it, which is to surround you in an echo chamber that validates your own worldview, number one. Number two, monitor everything about your behavior. The back end of social media is designed as something that's collecting huge amounts of metadata on you, and that's used in something called clustering analysis. Clustering analysis is a way of looking at your network of connections. So if you're friends with someone and then you've liked their picture or you've interacted with them, that data can be tracked to look at your behavior. And from that, as a marketer, you can understand this person is going to be more likely to want to go to this concert or going to go buy this product or this industry, or they're going to be interested in this. So as a tool to make money, social media is a really good thing for companies and for business. On a human level, you should look at it as the same way as you would look at any other addictive behavior or substance.
Now we have the smartphone and we have all this internet and we have the fast transportation and so forth. But life is not happier. Instead, sometimes more busier than before. For me, of course, always going with the middle path. Not too extreme, but you can still use it. But, some people are addicted to this kind of social media and so forth. And those are not really good, right? Yeah.
I have my opinions about Facebook being the platform for happy people. And when you're not happy or feeling low, you're not active there. That at least very much defines me.
All the influencers that are out there at the moment, you've got people striving to be them. And, what they're putting on social media might not even be a true reflection of themselves. So I think that makes people less happier or really trying to be a different person.
I mean, if you look at how many influencers there are and how obsessed they are with how many likes that they have, it's because I work with a lot of them. So in my experience, maybe 40 to 50% of them are just doing it for the money. The other half are really into it for the likes, and they think that this is going to be, people know them, and they start to inflate their ego. And the sad thing is that when the day after their account gets deleted or hacked or whatever, it's like an episode of Black Mirror, seeing how they react to it. And you're like looking there thinking, it's just your phone. Like, it's just, how can you let this affect you like this?
I would say that social media, as far as its role in my contentment or happiness or whatever, I would give it on a rating of 1 to 10, 0. That's partly a function of my age. I get the impression, as I use media, old-fashioned media as well as more modern media, there are greater anxieties around and that people perhaps are not as happy. And if they are unhappy, then much of the unhappiness relates to things like self-worth, our place in the world, our relationship with friends, or people we thought were our friends, all that kind of thing. I think that for young people especially, that's a major source of anxiety that probably wasn't the case when I was that age.
So when you have a kid whose brain is completely undeveloped, instead of getting their dopamine from like scoring a goal, playing football, or running around doing athletics, or the best way, in my opinion, is to get it from helping people, because they will start to associate their sense of self-worth and self-value from that. And if they try drugs and it releases it, they'll get addicted to that. If they get it from social media, they're finished, because in our society, we don't look at children using a phone as something abnormal.
On the tee. Oh, I pured that. So when we play golf, I've got all my bits and bobs. The nice thing is, for that 4 hours, the one bit of tech that I'm not sitting there paying any attention to is my phone. And all the tech in the world, that's the one thing that gets left behind on the golf course. Yet then at work, so social media is a massive part of how we market But watching a 9-year-old, it becomes more of a concern. So there's the standard, okay, if I gave him free rein, he might spend 9 hours watching YouTube videos. That would be a worry. In theory, easier to manage. Where I'd get more concerned is as that his social dynamics and social politics, he is sort of opening up to him at that age. The part that social media is going to play in that is much less easy for a grown-up to control. It would be like my mum plucking me out of the playground and saying, right, you're just not going out and you're not meeting your friends. Well, that's not a solution. With social media, it happens 24/7 though. If you're gonna get bullied, you can get bullied 24/7. One thing that we're doing through work actually, but my kids have been on, is the Science of Happiness sessions designed for 7, 8, 9-year-olds. A structured program that gives them the tools to manage themselves in terms of their emotions. And my 9-year-old, he's articulating his feelings in a very new way. And it was kind of horrible to hear. It's like, I'm feeling a bit stressed. Oh my goodness. Now, the fact that he's saying that is great, because if he wasn't saying it, it doesn't change the way he was feeling. So he's already starting to understand his feelings and whatever it is that's causing him to feel stress or feel some anxiety. And then applying tools and techniques to do with visualization.
Sometimes when I'm stressed, like just close your eyes and then like you'd put hands out like this and imagine one hand's got water in it and one hand's got a balloon in it. So if the water was sadness and the balloon was happiness, the balloon goes up, which makes happiness rise. And the water goes down, which makes sadness go away. And then think of happy thoughts.
And it's effective because he's robust and having a conversation with me about it. But it's blown my mind a little bit, given that my default is bar humbug, man up. So we're definitely going to do more of that. Is that the answer to the social media problem? Not on its own. But it's certainly something that we as a family will pursue.
We're starting to understand that young people now genuinely live two lives. They live a real world life and they live an online life. And that's here to stay. And as educators, it's our job now to help students flourish both in the real world, in the traditional sense, and also online.
In Sunmark, we see the best example of any school in the world, really, of a textbook implementation of positive education. And when you walk through this school, you can see that positive education is being lived by not only the principal and the senior leaders in the school, but also by the support staff in the school and the educators.
I would invite you to close your eyes. Now clamp your fists together. Clamp, 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 and release.
To live, breathe the philosophy of positive education. It's the air we breathe, it's the ethos of the school. Our parents, our children, our teachers feel that. So they learn about how to cultivate in their life and in the life of their students the positive engagement, positive emotions, accomplishments, how to understand what's their meaning and purpose and how to give meaning and purpose to their students.
It's to do with character strengths. It's to do with the resilience that a student builds up, or their ability to forgive, or their ability to collaborate, their curiosity. Now, if you think about what that really means to a family, when they take their young child to a school for the first time,
Where is it?
traditionally what they would expect is to wait 14 years for the child to pop out the other end and hopefully have a range of qualifications that might appeal to a university or to a future employer. But of course, that's not always the case. It's a highly competitive environment, and dare we say it, that people are now competing with artificial intelligence and robots. And so the whole game has changed, and families, frankly, are quite bewildered by that. They're not sure how best to advise their child to succeed at the game of life. Well, what positive education does, it brings the humanity into schooling. So what we find is that families regularly report to us how their child's attitude has been transformed. It's changed them as a person.
Because they're happier. It's as simple as that. They're surrounded by people that care for them, love them, and appreciate their strengths and what they need to do sometimes to self-regulate when things don't go so well.
The number one priority for schools is to create engaged students, students that are living rich, full, meaningful lives, students that know their character, that can contribute meaningfully to a brighter world. And if our purpose as a species is to move towards the eradication of poverty, equal rights for women, a healthy planet, then we need students that are asking interesting questions, inspired to tackle interesting problems, and are leading with compassion and empathy.
In Dubai, we've got some amazing facilities and we can play night golf, so floodlit golf. So there's a group of us that try and meet most Wednesday nights for a round of golf, and we're there for fun. We're there to enjoy ourselves.
Another crack at 80.
It's nice, we chat about nothing.
Yeah, I gave that 4 beans.
That's what you got to do, actually, coach, full bean.
It's a different environment. Everyone's laughing when it all goes wrong. So it's enjoyable, but the game gives that 4-hour session with your mates a focus. I probably get more from that than I realise.
Monks are actually encouraged to detach from the other friends, meaning the friends with whom you spend a lot of time chit-chatting and maybe just engaging in other mundane things. And that's for a monk, it's considered like a wasting of time. And also you are developing more kind of grounds for attachment. We know that friendship means also expectations are there. And then you have to meet with the expectations. Otherwise, you have to work very hard on maintaining that relationship, right? That friendship. And that is from the philosophical point of view, from the religious point of view, is not doing anything long-lasting for both of you.
It's not really a question of shaping the world around you to make you happy. If you're looking at, you know, your wife or your family or your friends' behavior and you're like, oh, they're making me unhappy, your ability to influence their behavior without becoming like a tyrant is very limited. People are going to behave how it's in their nature to behave. So the only freedom that you have in life is to shape your own nature, to make yourself competent and able to be content.
The only person we can change is ourselves. But once you change, once you behave in a certain way, people will react to the way you deal with them. So you can't change other people, but you can help them be aware of their emotions and behavior in a quiet way. If you try to listen to them, if you don't accuse, if you don't point fingers, but try to understand their point of view, we can help them be aware of their emotions and their reactions, and then choose the best way to act to have positive environment.
Sit, sit. Go, go, sit, sit. Classic amateur. Go ball. Stay ball, stay ball.
I think golf's a great equaliser in that I enjoy playing with people that have never played. I enjoy playing with someone that's struggling to break 100.
Cracking 100 today?
I can go out and play with a novice and have just as good a time as if I go out and, well, it's never going to happen, but if Tiger Woods came knocking on the door and says, do you fancy 18 holes? Yes, I do. And I can still empathise with his game. The best players in the world are on the same journey because they're as frustrated as you are. They have the same feelings as me trying to break 80.
Beautiful read.
I mentioned empathy in golf. I can empathise with someone like Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk is stressed. He might be one of the richest people in the world. So it doesn't matter what path you're on. If you take that path seriously, there's stress involved. And that's where, when it comes to happiness, it can't be a conclusion. So at what point is Curiosity Lab where I want it to be. I don't know what that point is because I don't have an end game for Curiosity Lab. So I've got to love the journey, love the path that I'm on, despite its stresses. So I think the people that are maybe unhappy are maybe those that don't have a path. Because at no point on this journey am I going to say, right, I'm there. I've ticked every box. I can sit down and be more content than I've ever been. That's never going to happen.
I'm a coach as well. My coaching guru, the guy who taught me coaching, he's pretty well respected in coaching circles, and he did a gig at Wharton by invite only, and you had to have a net worth of 300 million minimum to get in the door. And he said that was the saddest group I ever worked with. They had that wealth for a reason. They were single-minded sharks, you know, purpose-focused sharks, but they never thought like, well, they just couldn't turn it off. And so, you know, fourth marriage, addiction, bad health, estranged from their kids, all the things that come from, great, you can focus and do this one thing, but can you live a good life?
A good life is to smile and laugh. I'm relating that really to the kids. A good life for me is what legacy have I left with them? What have they learned? What will they do for the world?
Leading a good life means that one leads a good life both in terms of one's own development and achieving one's own potential, but also to bring that out in other people. I think if you can help other individuals along the way, regardless of what you do or how long you do it, that's a good life.
I don't know if you want to call it wisdom, but there's some perspective that comes with age. I think the first thing is do no harm. You know, don't make anybody's life harder, on purpose, certainly.
Age sometimes makes you more wise, and you realize that really not a lot of matters deserve that anger, that negative energy. Relationships are much more important than the water that had, you know, spilled or the traffic jam. Life is much nicer than this.
You have to be nice, helpful. Be nice to your neighbors. Be nice to, you know, fellow human beings. Try to make your society better for next generation. Applying that thought into real action while you are living, then that I would call a living good life.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'd like a par. I'd really like a birdie. Let's not ask for too much. When I've got this much time, the first thing I do is stand around and sort of panic and just assume a bad shot is about to ensue and look at all the possibilities. Thin into the bunker, proper thinny shank into the lake, sort of pull it left into those bushes. Then I get over that and decide whether I'm going to aim at the pin, right of the pin, left of the pin. For this shot, I'm aiming at the pin. Approach with gusto and confidence. Oh, and put it to about 10, 12 foot. I should talk through it more. We're on fire. Birdie! Oh, make me talk about stuff. Works. Well, it worked that once. I think we're 280 from the middle of the green. Take the driver, and rather than go for something smooth, try and just absolutely hit it as hard as you can and generally ruin it. Okay? But just swing hard and fast. Maybe close your eyes. I'll tell you what, that's quite remarkable. Birdie, birdie. It's a great day. Today's a great day.
Yes, I am afraid of death. I do believe, though, that the older you get, the more you could get to a position where you don't have to be afraid of death anymore, but I'm far away from that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Everyone, yeah, definitely. Because you are connected with your family, with your wife, with your children. If you are dead, what happens to your family who are dependent with you? What happens to the love that you share? If you are dead, at the same time your family is dead as well, because they have a lot of expectation. So for me, I'm scared definitely of death, because I have someone who is waiting for me back home, back in Nepal.
Absolutely, yeah. Who is not fear of death? Because this is something you cannot avoid. The death is inevitable. And also the time of the death is uncertain. I mean, it can come anytime. You have to talk to yourself. Are you prepared to go to the next life? Have you done all the preparation in this life? So when you don't have a positive answer to those, of course you have to be very fearful, right? When you know that you are not completely prepared, then you have no idea where you will be going. The karma will push you wherever your destination will be, you know. So when you have done all the preparation this lifetime, then you will not have that kind of fear. You have no regret. You have really will have a very so-called smooth kind of death. But basically, everybody is afraid of death. Yeah, me included.
Right. Hitting it hard seemed to work. So we'll go with a bit more of that. Oh, fade, come back. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but just hitting a ball well, it's got a feeling to it. It is deeply satisfying for some reason. Oh, be good. I'd imagine as cavemen, we were doing something that resembled golf that bettered our lives in some way, shape or form, and that's kind of ingrained in our genes. I don't actually imagine that's true. But there is a deep sense of satisfaction in whacking a ball. Oh, that's good. Go. And that's probably what you're chasing. In terms of breaking 80 means you've probably whacked that ball quite well quite a few times. We'll take it.
Real happiness is about getting clarity about who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world, and then acting in ways that are consistent with that. Understanding whether it means that you go through life without problems or conflicts or difficulties, that's just a false start. I think that this work is about tapping into humans' best sides so that we can be resilient, so we can bounce back from challenges and setbacks. And so for me, I think the most important thing is that people understand that whatever life they're living, they're not missing out.
Actually, the questions you should be asking is, if I died right now, what am I leaving behind? And what catalyzed that thinking for me was a car accident that I was in London. I genuinely 100% believed that I was gonna die. What matters is that moment before you die. That's the moment that you should fear, and fear it in a good way. So if you've lived a bad life and you only realize that in that moment, you will die with regret and remorse that you would literally do anything to not die with. The question of death becomes an afterthought, really, because what you fear most is coming to that moment again and not being ready for it. So you would live your life in a way that at any given moment, if that moment comes to you again, you just smile and you'd be like, okay, I know what I've done in this world. I know the people I've helped. I know when I look back at it, I can smile. I can think of every single day I did something to help people. And you will understand that in that moment, those deeds that you did, their worth in currency is immeasurable. In fact, they're the only currency you have in that moment. Not your boats or your cars or your houses or your... and nothing is going to be with you in that moment other than those deeds. And the more that you have, the richer you'll be.
I know that I lead a content life. I have a meaningful life where I do things that I know they make impact on other people's life. When I leave this world, I know that someone will say, Nadia helped me to have a better life because of the things she told me or because of the things she said to me. And for me, that makes a happy life.
Par 5.
5 shots to break 80.
I think so. Oh, stay out. Oh, that's where I aimed. Catch the front. Yes. Come on. Get in there, you beautiful little golf ball. Love it. All right. So breaking 80 was lovely, and the putt to break 80, that's got a great feeling, that moment. And then we moved on.
All right, what next?
The round as a whole is just another round, unfortunately. There was no bunting, there was no balloons, no one sprayed me with champagne. It's a double-edged sword, because I didn't break 80 the next time I played, or the next time, or the time after that. But did the process of trying to break 80 and all the night golf and the Wednesdays, does that make me happy? Yeah, as happy, happier than the breaking 80. So it's much more the process, the journey, which is very similar to, I hope, everything in life.
Right, we've turned the corner.